After a couple of months, I have to be honest, I was missing my visits to Norman's house, and I thought that this standoff between us was just silly. As the saying goes, I felt it was high time to bury the gasket. So I set off on the familiar walk to Norman's place with my guitar in hand. I could have walked that route with my eyes closed, although it would make sense to keep one eye open to avoid tripping on raised manhole covers or stepping in dog mess, that sort of thing. Anyway, the point is, I knew exactly where I was going. I had a destination. I had a purpose. I knocked at the usual house and was so shocked when a complete stranger answered the door. He said he'd been renting the place for the past 3 weeks. He had no idea who Norman was, and without another word slammed the door in my face. As I walked home, I was carrying not only my guitar, but a very mixed bag of feelings. I tried to remember all the good times, all the inspiring times I spent at Norman's house, and there were quite a few. But try as I might, for some reason, I kept being drawn back like a sticky magnet to one particular strange night. Norman was out at his life drawing class again. It was just me and Eleanor. As usual, she and I would share a pot of tea and 2 Hob Nob biscuits each. Yes, sometimes we talked and sometimes we took our refreshments in silence. I don't know why, but it never felt like an awkward silence. On this particular occasion, I became aware that she was making some funny noises. It turns out she was giggling quite a lot, but trying her best to hide it. It did make me smile. After a moment of recovery, she explained why. She had noticed twice in succession we had both immersed our hobnobs in our teacups at exactly the same time. She called it synchronized dunking. She said she'd never experienced it before. In a more serious moment, she revealed that Norman had not dunked a biscuit for some years now. Apparently, he thought it childish, and he did not like it when his hobnob went all soft and crumbly. Ever since that moment, she said, he has not lifted a single hobnob from the packet. Don't ask me why, but it felt like the right moment to play Eleanor this next song. I thought she might like it. I could not have been more wrong. As soon as I'd finished playing, she swept up the tea tray and the cups and saucers and disappeared into the kitchen. I thought she might at least offer me some words of praise or encouragement, but instead, all I could hear was the rather vigorous stacking of crockery and the sound of her blowing her nose. It was a bit rude, to be honest. She came back in the front room, said it was late, and that it was probably a good time for me to leave. Well, I can take a hint. I just wish I knew at the time that I would never see her again. Or Norman. They had become good friends. They had invited me into their home, offered me tea and biscuits, and they had inspired my art. Together, they were my muses. You know what I mean? My George and Yoko. If I could see them now, especially Norman, I think I would give him a hug. I would say, thank you, Norman, for helping me follow some very big dreams, for making me occasionally a slightly better than average songwriter, but most of all, for being my friend. Sometimes opportunity stares you in the face, but you don't notice it because you're looking down at your shoes, trying to avoid the dog mess. So I would say stop looking down. Look up and start following your dreams. Who knows where they might take you?
This is that song that I played for Eleanor. Seems like a long time ago now. If you hadn't done that, if you hadn't done this, behind your lips hadn't held back a kiss, behind your eyes hadn't hidden half a smile, hadn't stayed a little longer than just a little while. If you hadn't done that, I'd have nothing to lose, nothing to gain. If you hadn't done that, I would be totally free from pain. If you hadn't been on this planet, then I would still be sane. If you hadn't done that, if you hadn't done this, hadn't mixed a glance with a touch of bliss, behind your skin hadn't held back your heart, while those around you were tearing apart, there's something to be said for staying in bed, doing nothing at all. There's something to be said for hiding from beauty, turning your eyes to the wall. If you hadn't been on this planet, then in love I would never